Remarketer, empowering realtors.
Good morning, and thank you very much for joining me today. So, I'm going to be talking about um, a topic today that's been pretty much at the core of online marketing for many, many years. And it's taken a little bit of a twist in the recent years where we've had the AI bots and chat basically uh, AI systems such as ChatGPT and Claude and other platforms gaining more and more traction in terms of public access. Um, Search engine optimization, and recently a lot of people talk about concepts such as AI optimization, etc. They've come up with many different jargons, and many different discussions have happened around the topic, and um, there's a lot to dig into if we really want to get into that environment. But what I want to do today is to simply lay out the fundamentals and explain how you can achieve the best end result using the tools that you have available with Remarketer. How you can configure your website and basically lay out a strategy in order to be able to find the best results. Now, the best result at the end of the day, whether you're talking about search engine optimization or visibility within the AI platforms, would be exposure. So that's what you want to be able to achieve at the end of the day. And it's important for you to understand the fundamentals. A lot of people overcomplicate the matter, and there's a lot of businesses that thrive around the matter as well. The end result at the end of the day matters 90% around this core that I'm going to explain to you today. And once you have a clear understanding of how these systems work, and especially how these systems have evolved over the years, then you will have a much easier way working your way through this and building a strategy to create the maximum exposure that you would want to create. Now, the first thing that I want to explain to you, and that is the most important thing for you to understand, is that search engine optimization, traditional search engine optimization, where you would optimize your system in order to be able to have maximum exposure on search engines such as Google, for instance, have evolved a lot. So that's the first thing to understand. And a lot of old concepts are still being thrown around, which don't matter anymore. And sometimes they work not to your benefit, but basically to your disadvantage. So you should understand that search engines have evolved a lot. Now, the other thing that you should definitely be aware of is that there's no such thing as AI optimization the way it used to be for search engine optimization. The reason why I said search engine optimization is evolved a lot is because search engines are also have been equipped with a lot of more advanced technology that overlap a lot with the AI technology that we're familiar with today. And therefore, there's a huge amount of overlap between the two. The important thing for you to consider is the end result, and that is exposure, whether on a result page of a Google search, or within the answer of an AI system to a user's question. So that's important for you to understand. Now, I will try to explain to you these concepts in the easiest manner possible, so you can understand and find out exactly what you're looking for. And then I'll show you in Remarketer what things you need to do in order to be able to achieve this ultimate solution that you want. So another thing that I want to just mention just before we take off is that SEO, search engine optimization, is not a one-time thing that you would want to do on your website. It's not an occasional thing either that you would want to do, let's say, maybe once a year or something. Those days that search engine optimization were technical are gone, and it's a lot of ongoing strategy that needs to be in place. So what you need to understand, and your take out of today's discussion, should be a strategy. You should be able to lay a strategy and implement that strategy using the tools that I show you. All right, so let's go ahead and see what we can do. All right. Perfect. All right, so before we start, let me show you an example here. So let me just search for a phrase here. So for example, when is a good time to buy in Toronto? Let's be more specific, a house in Toronto. Okay, so that could be a question that I'm asking. Now, this is the end result of a search engine here. You can see that basically if we scroll down here, we're talking about ranking. So there are different articles and there are different web pages and websites that the system, well, this search engine, Google in this case, has been able to index and finds a correlation between this question and basically the topic and the discussion and the content and the context that's it's been able to find in these pages here, right? Now, it's taught. The most important thing is basically the correlation between this question and the content that's available on this website or this web page. And the second thing is the authority of the page. Now, the authority of the page comes from, a lot of you guys might think of backlinks and the structure of the website and keywords inserted into the website, etc. But that's traditional, and that's pretty much a decades old approach, or even older to SEO. They're not the case anymore. The most important thing about authority is firstly the traffic, the type of traffic, the type of interaction with the content, and also the continuity in terms of relevant content to this topic that we're discussing right now with Google right now. So you can see immediately that the most highly ranked websites are, from big content generators, CP24, for instance, or Mortgage Sandbox here, CIBC, a bank, for instance. So these are all things like Toronto Realty blog. So this is very, very specific. So it's basically a blog, a continuous content generating platform for Toronto real estate. So you can immediately see the connection here. It's not about the keyword, having the name Toronto here and realty here. It's more about how much content you've generated around the topic on a continuous basis. Freshness is key here. So that's one thing. So when we're looking at a search engine, the end result is this. You find basically Google finds the most relevant web pages in hopes for you to click on one of these. So you're going to be able to read these titles and meta descriptions that we have here. The reason why I say that is because we're going to see that on your website as well, and how you can configure the title as well as the meta description for your website, as well as any custom page that you're going to create. So remember that name. You're going to read the titles and the meta descriptions and decide as the user which one would be the most relevant one to your question, and then click on that one and go ahead and read the article. Maybe you'll come back and click on another one as well. So this is how a search engine works. Now compare that to how an AI would work. So this top part here, let's go to AI mode. So this is how an AI would work. It's very different from what a search engine does. The difference is that the search engine basically ranks your website, your web page, and displays it to the user in hopes of a click. It's a little bit more passive, but a little bit more direct. So once they click, they are within your platform, and there's a lot more that can happen there. AI, however, is a little bit different. So the AI would provide the user with the answer. However, as you can see here, there are citations. So within AI platforms, what happens is that the system will crawl and use all the information that's available to it, and use information from various places in order to various sources in order to build an answer, as you can see here. So it's a comprehensive answer to the question, and this question and answer can go on. However, every part of the system, every part of the answer comes with a citation. You can still see that CP24 being cited here. So basically what happens here is that AI is also looking at the same content and context that's available on website, but the way it represents it to the user is different. So the way it's representing the information is through citation. So that's the most important thing for you to understand. The end result of these two systems that we're talking about, how they get to this point is pretty much the same. So I really don't want to advertise a separate system for AI optimization compared to search engine optimization. As I mentioned at the beginning of our discussion, there's a huge amount of overlap here. And you basically need to have the same strategy in place. And at the end of the day, you will be able to achieve both end results here, search engines as well as AI. So it's a matter of exposure, whether through ranking and display or through citation within AI platforms. So this is pretty much the core understanding that you need to have when you want to, take the first step in this way. I try to put everything in context for you so that you would understand that what we're looking for is a strategy and a clear path to optimizing our exposure within these platforms. All right. Perfect. So now let's get into Remarketer and see what are the areas that you need to configure in order to be able to do this. So basically what we're doing is 4 stages are going to happen here, technically speaking. Crawling, which is the phase where AIs as well as search engines crawl the different content providers, websites in most cases, and read and try to understand the information available on these websites. So that's stage one, crawling. Stage two would be indexing. So whatever they understand, they're going to index. That index is their source when they want to correlate a question to these sources. Basically, that's how they would index the information. Once they have indexed the information based on many different variables, the question, the geography, the previous history of the user asking the question, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of criteria which they put in place when they would want to rank whatever is indexed. So basically what they do is that they index and they rank so that they can display, as well as citing. So these are the four things that you would need to understand. These are the stuff that happens here. So basically, they crawl, they understand, they index, and then they rank and they cite. This is what happens here, and in both exposure systems, search engines and AI systems. All right. Now, the question here is this. You can't rank if you're not indexed, right? So you will not be ranked and you will not be cited if you're not indexed. And you can't be indexed if you aren't crawled. So if we go from the other way backwards, you would understand that you need to be crawled in order to be indexed, and you need to be indexed in order to be ranked and cited. So you're very unlikely to be cited by AI or ranked in search engine results if your website doesn't clearly demonstrate what you know about what you specialize in. So that's the important thing to understand here. Your website should demonstrate exactly and clearly what you specialize in. Now, to some extent, remarketer websites are designed to do that. Some of you might not have realized how we have configured a remarketer website to do that, but today you're going to realize that. Let's take a look at a remarketer website. All right. Now, again, let's remember this phrase here. You should clearly demonstrate what you know and what you specialize in. This is important. Once you clearly demonstrate that, you're going to be crawled, and you're going to be understood, and you're going to be cited and indexed, right? So that's important. You should clearly explain who you are and what you do. Now, the things that we have, for example, here is once you scroll down, you have a featured properties section. Then you have a new development section. Then you have a pre-construction listing section. Then you have a section with call to actions. Then you have sections with exclusive services. Then you have custom sections that we've built before. Then we have predefined searches, for example. Then we have your brokerage listings. So firstly, you can see that it's structured. That's the most important thing to understand. Structure is key to modern search engine optimization and AI citation. It's very, very important. You should have a structure. Once you have structure, proper structure, it's much easier for the crawlers of those platforms to understand the different sections and the different type of information and content that's available on your website. Through that, they would understand the intention of the website. So, i.e., who you are, basically. This is what you want to clearly explain here. So, firstly, you can see each one of the sections has a title. That's very important, which is using the same title base, and the system can easily understand, a crawler can easily understand the different sections. Now, who are you? We try to lay grounds for that so that the system can immediately understand a lot about you. One of the most important things that's supposed to to explain who you are is your featured properties. So these are the properties that you have listed or you have specifically selected from MLS to be featured. Now, you know about the listing manager and how it works. And that basically what it does is that it presents your listed properties as the first uh, piece of information that's available on your website. This is crucial because that's the most important part of your service that you want to promote. Your featured properties, your listings, your sold listings. So as these listings appear on your website and are updated on your website, that's what crawlers will also see. They will immediately associate this website to this specific property because it's the first fold promoted information on that property. And that's one of the things that you want to promote. I'm just telling you what are the stuff that are automatically happening in this structure that's built into your website is deliberate. And it basically helps you with being found on Google and being cited on search engines. It's very different if you go to many other realtor websites and you don't see that specific featured properties section promoted on the website. Or maybe they do have a featured properties section, but it's basically just random properties coming out of MLS on their website. It's not really telling the system that you are listing and featuring a property that is this specific property here, 111 Forecastle. Now, there's a lot more that a crawler would take out of this. So, for example, it can immediately find out that you are featuring properties. A specific property that you are featuring is a detached property. A specific property that you're featuring is this specific property right here. And it can also understand, for instance, that you are featuring a lot of properties in the city of Vaughan. If that's not the only one, you have other ones coming and going. That's how the system is indexing you, and connecting that index and relating that index with properties in Vaughan. So the more you are effectively promoting the listings that you're listing in the city of Vaughan, and that's your natural business, that's your natural strategy. The more it is deliberately promoted on the website, the better you're going to be indexed in that specific area, right? So, for example, if someone goes into Google and searches for this specific property, so let's say they've seen the for sale sign in front of this property and they want to find out more about that specific property, the chances, there's no guarantee in SEO, remember that, the chances of you being indexed at a higher ranking versus any other website for that specific property would be higher. Why? Because you have been deliberate in promoting that specific property on your website, and therefore that correlation has a stronger bond on the Google index, for example. The same exact thing happens in AI as well. If someone goes into ChatGPT and asks a question about 111 Forecastle Vaughan, then that same correlation can happen there, and you may get citations in ChatGPT that's going to refer them to your website here because it was able to specifically find that property right here. So this, without you knowing, is building a lot in terms of search engine optimization for you. And that's not the only area where we're doing that. Other properties are doing the same thing here as well. When we're looking at the exclusive services section here, a little bit, but this can also be customized and changed. Now, once you select your areas of interest in website design, website config, and when we go to extras, when you start these custom, when you Select these custom search sections that we've talked about these many, many times. These 4 little circles appear here. What that does is, firstly, it builds the experience of the user that comes to your website, that would immediately be able to see that, for example, obviously, if you're promoting Markham, Pickering, Aurora, and Vaughan, most probably these are the areas that you have expertise in. Again, we're going back to the same first initial phrase. Clearly explain who you are and what your expertise is. This is exactly doing the same thing again. Just in the same way that you would want a user to see that these are the areas, even though you can buy and sell anywhere in the GTA or in Ontario, for instance, or in British Columbia or in Alberta or whatever, you are being specific in promoting the areas that you have expertise in. That's important. You don't want to be anyone, because you want to be that person who's going to be ranked and cited, right? So being able to just having a generic website pointing to anything and anywhere, then you're just anyone. But when you're specific and you're giving up the ego and specifically promoting your expertise, that's the person that you are. That's clearly demonstrating to the user as well as the crawler who you are and what your expertise is. So consider the Google crawler as a user. What would the crawler understand when they come to your website, right? And for that, we need structure and clarity. And this is clear. What it does is that you just click on this and it takes you to the search result page. That's all, basically. However, it serves a much better and much more deliberate purpose than just simply relying on the search button right here, which generally searches anywhere on the website, right? So you do have an MLS search, but we're using the same function to be a little bit more deliberate and telling the user that, yes, I have access to the entire MLS, but these are my areas of expertise. The same thing happens up here as well. So if we go down to the market reports, you have other content structurally available for your areas of expertise. So again, when we go back to the website settings under extras, you have market reports that you should select here as well. Now, in my case, this is a demo account. I have different areas up here compared to the areas that I have down here. It's best if you stick to the point, right? So I want to have the same areas here. So I'm going to select, let's go back and just keep Richmond Hill here. I'm going to change these. Richmond Hill. I'll have the same thing here. So basically, these are the York region in the GTA and Newmarket. So select your specific areas. Now, a lot of you guys at the very beginning say, why 4? Why not more? Why not have everywhere? The GTA, all over the GTA. I have a market reports. Why not have the whole area available in the drop down, so that if anyone comes to my website, they will find out information about whatever they're looking for. So my website could be a Wikipedia for everything anywhere. No, think about the strategy that we need to have in place. The strategy that you need to have in place is this: you need to be clear about who you are. That's the entire strategy for your entire website, and stick to it. That's how you can rank. Without that, you won't be able to beat the likely Realtor.ca. Authority to properties from MLS, of course it's Realtor.ca, because it's taking hundreds of times of your expected visitors every single day. So you can never compete with them. You can never compete with big, huge corporations, Zillows and those kind of corporations. You can never compete in terms of content with the likes of BlogTo and CP24 and CBC and those kinds, because they're attracting way more visitors than you can ever do on your own. So don't try to generalize yourself. Specialize yourself. That's what you need to do. So here I'm promoting the same areas through custom search, through market reports, and through other initiatives that I'm going to explain to you as well. Custom pages, for example. So once you do that and you have these content available, the crawler, the Google crawler, the ChatGPT crawler, these are going to be able to see that content, and you can see the structure. You can see the clear structure here, and you can see the clear set of information that are available here. So if someone is asking ChatGPT about the market activity in Markham, you do have a better chance of being cited compared to many other realtors who don't have such structured content available on their website, specific content available on their website. Again, you don't have to compare yourself to Toronto Real Estate Board's market reports website. So obviously they're more authoritative. However, you're competing with other realtors. If they don't have this and you have that, you're going to be standing a better chance to be cited and ranked compared to everybody else. And that's the competition that we're winning right here. So these are the things that you might have had questioned before. Why do we place them here? Why do we have them? Why do we configure them in the way that they are? And now you have a much better understanding of why your website would perform so well in terms of visibility on search engines as well as AI right off the box. But obviously, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's a lot more that needs to be done, and you would be able to do. Okay. So let's move on. So now you understand that I'm not going to get into everything, but now you know that, there's a reason why we have featured properties here. There's a reason why we have these sections on the website, on the homepage. There's a reason why we have, we allow you to select up to 4 areas in market reports. These are all structurally built to give you the authority that you need in the eyes of the consumer as well as the crawler. Right, so that's important to understand here. Now, let's get into a little bit of technicalities. When I showed you the search result in a Google, I told you about the title of a page as well as this section, which is basically the description of what we expect to see if we click on this link right here. Now, it's important for you to configure this for your website as well. That's one of the things that is greatly missed when you are configuring your Remarketer account. Now, for that, what you would need to do is you would need to go to website configurations. That's where we are right now, and go to the extras. Now, in the extras section, at the very first 2 sections here, you'll see the website tag name and the website tag description. So these are the 2 sections that we're seeing right here. The website tag name is this title right here. And then the website tag description is this description right here. So you can see the importance of these 2. Those are the immediate things that they're going to see if your website is indexed and displayed in any way on your website, on a search engine result. Even an AI citation could happen and benefit a lot from what you have written here. So what we're seeing here is your general website tag name and tag description. So that basically what it does is that it applies these two to every single page of your website. And having this strategically configured is very, very important. Now, what you need to do here is this. So Google needs to understand who you are, right? This can help very much with them understanding who you are. And also the tag description can explain a little bit more about who you are, right? So basically this is what we're going to be doing. Let me find a couple of examples here. Okay. Now, I'll give you an example of a bad tag name for your website. All right, so that's a title. Let me give you a home James Smith. This is not okay. This is basically your name. It's better than nothing, but it's basically just your name. What we had here before is your name, as well as connect with a local Richmond Hill realtor. So basically you're being specific right now, right? So you are saying that I am a Richmond Hill realtor. What is this? So a Google crawler, just like someone who's just skimming through these results over here, would want to see who you are. So if I'm looking for Richmond Hill real estate expertise and I come across this writing, Mary Clarkson, which is our hypothetical name, connect with a local Richmond Hill realtor, I immediately see expertise here. And if that's my intention, that's the connection that I need to get, right? So that's the user. Same thing happens with the crawler as well. So they are very intelligent beings as well, looking at the same website tag name right here. Okay. Now, things like this. Richmond Hill Realtor, best Richmond Hill Realtor, top Richmond Hill Realtor, Richmond Hill Real Estate Agent. These are basically stuffing keywords into the title of the page. That's gone. Doesn't work anymore. Never use this kind of an approach in your SEO anymore. Stuffing keywords is not going to be positive for your website. In fact, it's going to be a negative point for your website. Never do this, right? If you want to be, if you want to set authority for Richmond Hill, this is the way to go. Introduce yourself, right? So instead of just stuffing keywords, imagine yourself just explaining who you are to someone, and just include that on your website as well. Now, the tag description can be just about this long, so a couple of lines, right? So you can't have a big, huge description. Anything more would be read more, which is going to take you to the website. So what you can expose is about a sentence and a half. So don't go overboard with what you include here, but try to be descriptive again. So we've been very descriptive here as well. So if someone comes across this website, they would immediately know that this is a demo account. The reason why I included this here in our demo account is that people would click on it and they would think that this is a real realtor, and they would inquire on the website. We didn't want that to happen. So we wanted them to be sure that this is a demo account and it's not a real licensed sales representative, right? So that's me trying to be open about what this account is. But something that would be good for you is, a little bit of an explanation here. Mary Clarkson is a realtor expert in Richmond Hill area with so many years of experience and so many happy clients. That's what you're going to be able to say over here. So if someone sees that right off the bat, they can probably relate to that objective and click here. Same thing happens with the Google crawler. That's how it indexes it, your website, and how it basically builds correlation between what you have written here and what would be the probable question or search phrase for a client. So that's one area that you need to go into today. And if you haven't configured this yet, make sure you configure this area right here. Now, this would apply to all of your websites, right? So you'd have homepage, Mary Clarkson, about page, Mary Clarkson, connect with your local Richmond realtor. I don't know, if you go to blogs, for instance, the same thing. So if I go to contact, for example, see that? Contact Mary Clarkson, connect with a local real estate. So all of that is here in the title, as well as the rest of it. So if I go to download app, same. This is the page for download app. Then we have the same thing after that. You can't really see it here, but it's included in the drop down that I'm seeing in my on my end here. So this is, you know, continued across the website. You create new pages and everything. It continuously goes across the website. Now, if we go to custom pages and I build a new page right here. So you build your custom page. I'm not going to get into that. And you can see our previous videos on building custom pages. But the thing that you should understand here under page settings here, you would see a page title and a page description here again. We'd never discussed this. And you might have wondered, why do I have a page title and a page description for this custom page? Now you know exactly why you have a page title and page description for this custom page. Now you can be even more specific. So now you can create genuine content. So now that I want to set authority for me being a Richmond Hill expert realtor, what I need to do next is to create content that is Richmond Hill specific. And you know how you can build very, very specific and sophisticated pages for neighborhoods and areas, and with listings and content and information, all sorts of stuff, using Remarketer's custom page builder. And we have videos on that. So go back to them and see how we had done these before. But you can build really powerful content around your areas of expertise. It doesn't even have to be geography. It doesn't have to be specific Richmond Hill real estate. No, it can be specific other expertise as well. So for example, you might want to establish yourself as someone who's really, really an expert in let's say, commercial real estate, specialized in restaurants, for example. Commercial real estate specialized in clinics. So you want to establish that special content. You can create content around that. So you can build a custom page, let's say, talking about what are the specifics that you need to consider when you want to purchase a new business, right? And that's your established. So, okay, so how do businesses promote their properties when they want to sell? How do businesses sell their businesses? How do we go about, as a commercial real estate, finding these opportunities? And what are the processes, for example? So these are all the information that someone would want to have, and you can create one or more pages, including that content. However, the starting point would be for you to have a nice page title and page description. What is the page title? Do you want to buy, how to buy a restaurant, for example, right? So that could be the question. If someone then asks here in Google, how do I buy a restaurant, then imagine the power of connection with there. So you should have that as well as a page description, right? So in that page description, you can briefly introduce yourself and say that, here it is. I'm an expert working only with business restaurants in the GTA available for sale, for example, or buyers and sellers with that regard. And then the content over here. So once you have that page created and updated every once in a while, that's important. Fresh content is very important. Then you are going to have you're going to be able to have content that can be crawled and can be indexed and then can be ranked and cited in these areas. So if someone goes ahead in AI and asks, I'm interested in buying a restaurant. I'm interested in starting a restaurant business. How can you help me? AI is going to go around the contents that it's been able to gather and index, and come up with an answer that's suits the question. And alongside of that, there's going to be citations, right? So if someone then follows up and saying that, okay, can you suggest a realtor who can do that? If you're part of those citations, you're going to be suggested by AI. And that is very, very powerful right there. So again, going back to the custom page builder, the page title and page description, I'm going to show you where it is again, page settings, right here. It's very important for you to be strategic about this. Now, these are two important areas. So you're building web pages with content that's relevant to specific areas of expertise, and you're promoting it and structuring it properly. Again, don't forget structure. The structure should be in place. When you're building the page, make sure you have titles and you have content, and then you have another title, and then you have another content, and then you have another title, and then you have another content, maybe a sub-content. So all of that should be very structured, right? The way I structure it is this. So if this is the title, I'm going to configure this, and this is going to be formatted title 1, okay? Title 1. I'm going to format this, formats, headings, heading 1, okay? That's why we have those headings. So this is title 1. And then the next section is the next section, right? So I'm going to have a title 2. So this is going to be heading 1 again. Okay, so that's title 1, title 2. Now down here, I may have a subsection, right? So I'm going to add a subsection here. This is going to be title, 2-1, right? It's under title 2. So what do? I format this one as subheading 2. So 1 under, right? So this is heading 1, heading 1, heading 2. That's why we have these headings right here. So you can give it a proper structure. These are the sections, these are the subsections by using these headings over here. So these are crucial. The more structured your content is, the better the systems are going to, the crawlers are going to understand it. And for example, an AI can cite to a specific section or even a subsection within your content here to answer somebody's question. That's how specific they are, so you can provide them with what they really want to have. So these are some important factors for you to consider in order to make your website a lot more accessible to crawlers for AIs as well as search engines, and therefore be exposed a lot more through their platforms. Now, the important thing for you, and there are more things as well, news and blogs. That's another thing that you can do. It's already structured for you. It's very easy to do. You already have a title. You already have a description here. So basically, it builds that for you in there, and you build a body of information there with pictures and all. Now, creating custom blog posts is also another very easy tool for you to create content. Now, you can continuously do that. Now, a good strategy that I can suggest to you is this. Build your custom pages. So for example, you might build a custom page around Richmond Hill real estate, right? Or that restaurant business, for example. Then start blogging. Then start blogging about that topic continuously. And in your blogs, cite to that custom page that you built, right? So you're building internal connections within the blogging, which is, different topics, and you can now try to generalize and include more and more information, and then pointing to that custom page that you built. And this way, you're going to be able to create a very strong section of your website representing strongly an area of expertise. And you can do that with multiple verticals in your areas of expertise. So the more you can do, and the more continuously you can feed into that using custom news and blogs, the more you're going to be able to build on that platform. So that is super important for you to understand. And this is how we can really rank on search engines as well as AI platforms. Okay, perfect. Let me check to see if we have any questions. All right. Okay. So I don't see any questions that are related to this. There's one question from Jeff that I'm going to answer. So if there's anything, please get in touch with us, and we'll do that. So I'm going to wrap up the session for this right now. And I'm going to take Jeff's question. So Jeff, thanks a lot for being with us. How can I resubscribe an email that is bouncing? Okay, so let me show you what you can do here. So for instance, if you go to Contact Manager, you might have put in an email address here which was wrong, and therefore it was bounced, or maybe some, I don't know, the email had unsubscribed before, whatever. So if the email is not being included and sent anymore, under Tools, you're going to be able to see Restrained Contacts. So these are all the contacts that have been restrained. So for instance, you can see that these have been bounced here, for example, right? So these are not real email addresses, and therefore they've bounced. Or they might have unsubscribed, or even stale. So stale, the email address is correct, but there's never been any interaction with the email. Therefore, it's marked as stale there. You can see unsubscribed ones here as well. So if you want to reactivate them and resubscribe them, what you need to do is to click on Actions here, and then you see the resubscribe button right there. What it does is that it takes you to this page here. You would have to put in their email, first name and last name, and click subscribe. What happens is that it is going to send them an email with a link that they would need to click on in order to express the fact that I'm willing to now be resubscribed and take emails from you. Once they do that, it'll be active, and the contact would be marked as active again, and you're going to be able to include them in your email campaign. So that's basically what you would need to do over here. Hopefully that answers your question. All right. Okay. So I'm going to stop here. So remember, search engines and AI platforms pretty much work the same. What you would need to understand here is this. First, you would need to be very clear and specific on your website. Remember, you can't do everything on your homepage either. You have to create custom pages. You have to do blog posts. You have to be specific on your homepage as well about who you are. Now, we do that, some of that with what we are, but there's a lot more that you can do on your website you can change the script on your hero banner to be more specific, talk about who you are. You can create custom sections on your homepage that represents you and who you are. And obviously, you can create custom pages for those expertise that you want to promote. So be clear and be upfront with who you are and what you're expert in. So that's the same thing. The third thing that's important for you to understand is that you need to be structured. So structure is key and important. Whenever you create content, don't just have a block of text. Be structured. Have a question, answer, title, content, subtitle, content. So you should have structure in the content that you're creating. And the third thing that's important for you to be is continuously generate content around the topics that you want to be an expert in. And once you do that, try to communicate as much of it as possible through social media. So share posts that are linking to your website, to those areas of expertise. Share those basically content that you're creating through your newsletters and email campaigns. Try to engage people with your content. And once you do that, and once you set that strategy and you continuously continue with that strategy, it could be one blog post a day, it could be one blog post a month, but do it on a regular basis, right? So once you do that, you're going to be able to build that authority that you want to have, and you will definitely get the SEO end result that you wish to achieve. So hopefully everything's been clear and useful. If anything comes up, any questions that you may have, please reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to hear from you. Otherwise, until the next topic next week, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and week, and I'll see you again next time. Take care.